Always have a plan B.
Well, the weather today is absolutely fantastic, which makes a great change when you compare it to yesterday. Yesterday was very miserable, the sky was very grey, it rained all day actually. If I wanted weather like this, I could have stayed in England. One of the back wheels on my Porsche fell off. Fortunately, I'm just talking about my mouse. Recently, I helped a friend of mine start to put together a business plan. Now, I say start because one of the main reasons that you want to put together a business plan is to actually find out if your business idea is actually viable on paper. And sometimes, if the numbers just don't stack up, you can actually find out if an idea is not worth doing, even before you've finished. But before we get on to the importance of a business plan, we've actually got to discuss the plan B first, because it's surprising how many people don't worry about plan B until it's actually too late. If you look back to your childhood, when maybe you had some kind of job counselor or career advisor, they would always tell you to get ready with a plan B. Even probably your parents would, when you want to be that rock star, say, well, maybe you need to get an education to fall back on. And they would probably tell you it's about how it's easier to study when you are younger. And of course, you want to go for the higher risk idea first. And genetically, that makes sense. When you're a young caveman and you're going to do something higher risk, you're going to go up against the alpha, you want to do it when you're at your youngest and fittest. You're not going to try and do that with a walking stick. However, things have moved on. And what the older generation, my generation now, talking to the 20-year-old, will try and explain is it's all to do with comfort. And if you have gone up the ladder with age, where you've traded in your bicycle for the motorbike, you've traded in the motorbike for the car, you've traded in your crappy first-time car to something a little bit more elaborate, then of course, if you're going to go through a career change, you've decided what you're doing hasn't come to fruition, to actually get rid of all of that and start off again with a push bike and shared accommodation, it's not going to happen. So absolutely, you should always do the higher risk scenario first, but you must set yourself up with a plan B. And the same goes for business. So you've got this wonderful idea, and by sorting out plan B, not only will you make sure you have enough money behind you in order to make sure plan B is viable, not only will you make sure you have the appropriate qualifications to make sure this perhaps a little bit more mundane of an occupation that provides a stable income is going to be there, but you will also know a lot more about when to quit. You will know, this is my plan A, and because I've now got plan B and I know roughly when I want to implement plan B, that is going to go into the business plan. Now, you don't actually write it in the business plan, and this is particularly important, especially if you're going for money from a bank or if you're going for VC funding, because to actually admit you have a plan B shows weakness. And that's why when in business, you never discuss with anybody your plan B. I mean, you think about it, look at the military. How many of those films have you seen where there is a captain on a submarine and all hands are on deck? Well, not on deck, they're underwater. In deck, I wouldn't know how to say it. But anyway, everyone is involved, and they're sending out these torpedoes, and they're under attack, and they're trying everything, and nothing's working, and you know they're just about to get blown out of the water. However, the captain turns around and says, "It's time for plan B." And his subordinate will look at him and say, "What's plan B, captain?" And he will say, "Blah, blah, 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 do it now." and everybody does it, and he saves the day. You have that elaborate classical style music, everyone starts cheering and clapping and patting each other on the back, and it's all thanks to the captain and his plan B. Now, you can't tell anyone about your plan B in advance. If the captain turns around and says, okay, we're going to try this, maybe it will work, maybe it won't work, and if it doesn't work, we're going to do plan B, everyone's going to say, why the hell are we not doing plan B now? If we know plan B is going to work, why are we going to do this? Plan B is usually the stable option. Plan B is usually the easier option with less reward. Plan B is your get out of shit quick card. So you cannot tell anyone about it in the military. And you sure as hell can't tell anybody in business. You try going to a venture capitalist and saying, this is what we want your money for. Oh, and by the way, if it doesn't work, I'm going to start working for Starbucks. They're not going to take you seriously. So always have a plan B. Work out what it is before you do your business plan. Work out how much you are prepared to spend on your business before you call it a day, and work out when. And if you do this, maybe, just maybe, you will be able to avoid what is known as the sunken cost fallacy. Sunken cost fallacy is when, and I've seen people in my family do this, when you've invested so much money into an idea and so much time into an idea that you don't feel it will hurt to try for a few more months, and then a few more months. And slowly but surely, you invest so much money into it that not only is the business idea no longer viable, but it's put you under very, very difficult financial strain. Worst case scenario, it's a bit like a gambler in Las Vegas. When they start off trying to chase their 200, it becomes 300, then 400, then 1600, 3200, 6400, until eventually they lose their home. So avoid the sunken cost fallacy, work out your plan B before you work out your plan A, and then go for it. Thank you for listening.